I've gotten quite a few questions, people asking me when I'm doing these prints and I'm putting multiple colors on these prints, how do you avoid getting bleed through? So when you're putting like a multiple color on here around the brim or the gray on the side, how do you avoid having that paint bleed through into the other part of your print? So I'm going to do a real quick video. This isn't going to take very long. Stick around and I'll show you. Okay, before we get started, we're going to need a couple things. Of course, we're going to need masking tape. This is the tape I use. It's frog tape. It's delicate surface. It releases really well. Never had a problem with it peeling paint off, and I've done multiple layers with it. This is the 2-inch. I also keep some 1-inch around, depending on how big of an area you're going to be masking. I do not rely on this tape to get that clean, sharp edge I'm looking for. It does a really good job, but I still have had paint bleed through. So what I do for that is what's referred to as fine line tape. Now this is a tape made by several different companies. You could get it online. It's a vinyl tape. This is 1/4 inch. This is made by 3M. It's called Indigo. And then it comes in a package like that. And then this is 1/8 inch. This is made by Custom Shop. Either one works. There's all kinds of brands online. You can use whichever type you'd like. These are the two I've had the best luck with. The one thing you're looking for when you get a tape like this is it has a little bit of stretch to it and that it releases real clean. I also use masking fluid. I'll do a couple videos on masking fluid. I'm not going to do it for this video, but typically if you're aging or weathering something, putting battle damage on, I use masking fluid. And of course, we're going to need a couple nice sharp razor blades. Now if I'm going to do a larger surface, such as like the top, mask off the whole top of a helmet, I also have one of these 3M handy maskers. They work real well. You put a roll of tape on, you put this 6-inch masking paper you can get at the hardware store, kind of peel it off, and then you got the tape already applied right to the edge and you could put it on. Now for this project, I don't need it. This is going to be a smaller masking project, but I do use this quite often. The most important thing we need is our model. So, wait, what? Well, I had this print laying around and I figured, what the heck, let's do something a little bit different. Now everybody knows Iron Man mask doesn't take a whole lot of masking, if any at all. Now I'm going to show you a couple techniques on it before I actually get into masking off the idea I had. So let's grab the tape and show you what I'm talking about. I cut a piece of this a little bit longer than what I need. And what you do is it's no different than masking anything else. You get it right on that line and you're going to pull it a little bit. Now this stretches, but you're going to stretch it a little bit and go right along that brow line. Now that's going to give me my hard edge. This tape does really good at preventing bleed through. So now that I got that line masked, we're going to go back, and in a case like this, I would grab my 2-inch tape, same thing, rip off a piece of this or cut off a piece of this, a little bit longer than what I need, and I'm going to overlap it. I'll take it, and you can see here that I got the blue edge covered. Okay, now it's as simple as taking your knife and actually going down the middle. So you get some wiggle room. You go right down the middle of this tape and cut the masking tape. So then when we peel it off, it comes off nice and clean. And that blue edge is what's going to be holding the paint. Then lastly, remember those pieces of the Bondo spreaders that I used in an earlier video? We're just going to take a piece of that and we're going to push it and make sure we got all the air out, and this is a nice flat surface that no paint could bleed through. This is where I'll grab my handy masker, tear off a piece, put it on there just like that. So if I was masking this, that would be ready for paint. Now we've seen how we do a straight line, we know how to do that. What if I want to do a wavy line across it? Keep a real nice hard edge with the wavy line. That's where this 1/8 inch fine line comes in. So we're going to cut off a piece, always go longer than your model. And I'm just going to put it on here. You can kind of see this stuff's very flexible. So if we wanted to match up with contours, we wanted to, you know, go across angles or curves, it works very, very well. Same thing, we're going to take our Bondo spreader, make sure that's all pushed down nice and even. Then we're going to do pretty much the same thing with masking tape. Now, depending on how big it is, it might take a couple pieces of this masking tape, but for this example, I'm going to just use this. I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. Cut right down the middle. And you don't got to cut hard. This tape cuts very, very easy. So we're going to cut right down the middle. And you get a little bit of wiggle room. You don't have to be perfect because you're really letting that fine line do the work. And this is just to get rid of the excess tape. There you go. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so you can see I got the main part of the design done. That is a lot of work. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our frog tape on. Now be careful when you're doing this that you're masking off the areas you want to mask off. And it's easy to do, especially in something as complicated as this, to really not pay attention to what you're doing and mask the wrong area off, and then you paint more or less the negative of what you're doing. But all you're going to do is lay it on. You see how you could see through this tape? And just like I said before, we're going to cut along the fine line. Hopefully you could see through that. We're going to cut along the middle of the fine line and peel off the parts where the black paint is going to go. Okay, then we'll continue on. So I got the bottom all taped up. Make sure you're double checking that you're not taping up any of the areas you want the paint to be applied to. We're going to go ahead and do the forehead. I would be doing that with 16-inch fine line, and I just ran out of it on the last project I did. And instead of stopping the video, ordering up some more fine line, I'm going to do this a little bit different. And potentially we could get a little bit of bleed through, but if you use the right techniques, a little bit of a different painting technique, we should be fine. What we're going to do is we're just going to mask it off and cut it out. Now, when you mask it, the most important thing is we know that that detail is going right here. So you don't want it overlapping. You want to get this on there with no creases, as smooth as possible. So what we're going to do, it's almost like applying a vinyl. We're going to work all them creases out with our little Bondo spreader. And the reason we're doing this is those creases are where that paint's going to find its way under. We're also going to use a bit of a different spray technique that'll help prevent having paint bleed through under the edges of masking tape. So we'll go ahead and we're going to draw them in with pencil first, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab a marker and then we'll cut them out. Alright, so now we got it masked, and we need to spend, this is really important, spend a couple minutes and take our little spreader, and we're looking for any of those spots that potentially can peel up and cause the paint to get under them. What we're going to do is when we apply this paint, the first coat, you're trying to seal that edge off, so we are just going to dust it on. If you see little areas that could potentially cause issues, pause and push them down. This is real important. We can't go back and do it. So when I say dusting, I mean it's just getting this. It's getting exactly that, just a little tiny dusting of paint. We don't want to keep hammering paint on it, because if we do, that's just going to increase the chances that we're going to get bleed through somewhere on our model. So now we're going to go ahead and put the next coat on. Same exact thing. We're not going to use heavy coats. Here I'm about 16 to 20 inches away. Okay, so we've waited about 15 minutes. The paint's flashed over. It's dried to the touch. Don't want to wait 24 hours to do this. If you get it while the paint's still a little bit soft, it really does help the tape to release and give you that clean edge that we're looking for. Be very careful peeling the tape off too. You want to take your time. You don't want to be peeling paint off as you're peeling tape. Even though we use this delicate release tape, if you're ripping it off, you could still peel some paint off with it, and that we don't want to do. So in the beginning I promised you a quick video. It went a little bit longer than expected. As you can see, the results were well worth it. Real fun project to do. Go ahead and give that technique a try. Hopefully it'll work as good for you as it does for me. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and have fun.